Morning all, Saturday morning, 18th of November, a special honing session. Now I have here my prize. This is of course a wolf blades, and I wasn't terribly happy with the original edge, so it's going to get a little bit of a rework from me, with Trevor's blessing, by the way. So what we're going to start off with is 4 layers of tape. The tape, this is quite a thin razor. It's about, I'm guessing it's about sort of 6mm. I didn't actually measure it, but I think it's 6mm. And so to get sufficient layers of tape is quite necessary. It's the most incredible grind. I don't think anybody else honestly can do a grind like that. That is wafer thin. Very, very impressive. In fact, it almost looks like a frame back. So, you know, very impressive piece of grinding. And of course, the steel is the quandary here. The steel is this Damasteel. So, of course, we're going to be ultra careful. So I'm going to go through a full progression of stones, but I'm not going to bore you to death. So what we're going to do first is just the basics, which is we mark our first stone, which I'm going to use the 3000. A reason I use a 3000 is it's near me and it's handy, but it's the professional. It's a P330, particle size 3000, and of course it is a Nanoir professional stone. Very nice stone. So let's flatten it first, make sure, absolutely certain. Yep, that's looking pretty good already. Yeah, make sure all your pencil lines have been removed. So you've got a nice flat surface. Now this is a modestly cheap stone compared with what you can pay, and I have paid. The diamond plate I'm using isn't a top end, it's actually one off Amazon. But I've got to say I've got no complaints with it. It's a very good stone. It's got a 1000 and a 4000 grit side, and to get this stone completely flat for a very important job on a top end razor, we're using the 4000 grit with a slurry. So there's a light slurry, there's the 4000 stone. The diamond plate is now wiped off because you don't want to contaminate your other stones. That would be silly, wouldn't it? You're starting off, as I'm starting off, with quite a relatively coarse stone. What you can't afford to do is to then go and contaminate your next stone with the grit from the previous stone. That would be silly. Anyway, that's ready to go. Here's the razor. I've got my little trusty microscope today. It's only a little cheap one, but it's optically quite efficient. I think we're about there. So there's the beautiful razor. Oh, no, we're not there. That's because I'm not thinking today. What we've got to do, which is actually very, very important, is break out a brand new Sharpie. Let's now mark the edge with the Sharpie so we can judge the apex. Now that way it'll give us a very good reading. There we go. The Sharpie, by the way, is the best to use. I've used other lesser quality felt pens and they ain't so good. Anyway, there we now have a black edge to this very fine razor. So let's put it on here and see where we lie. I shall very soon tell. Well, that's interesting. Yep. I would say we're about 50% back from the original apex. Yeah, we are. So it's not as acute an angle now. So I'm going to just take off a little bit more and see where we are. The principle here is to try and achieve a slightly more acute, or rather, no, I think it was too acute. Let's go for a little less acute edge. You can see that the stone is working well. We're getting a nice grey slurry. Once you're a little bit more experienced, I mean, I've done a few hundred now, honings, you can take liberties with the way you approach the stone. You should roll thus to make sure you don't dig the edge in. But if you lift off correctly and go gently back on correctly, you're okay. Let's have another look. That's nearly there. That's about 50% of the final apex revealed. So we'll do a few more. I definitely think on a thin piece of this incredibly high grade Damasteel, I definitely think on the lesser, well, I'd say lesser, it's the wrong word, on the thinner gauge, this is a 6mm, yeah, I think 4 layers of tape is very, very wise. That's nice and grey now, isn't it, eh? Look at that. Yee! You can judge by the amount of slurry the amount of work that you're doing. I would say that we're not too far off now. So let's have a little wash off. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's not too bad at all. I'm not going to kill it yet. I will just give it a quick thumbnail test. Quite blunt, that's interesting. Let's kill it. So we'll kill the edge, thus, and make sure it is by using the sacrificial tomato. Yes, that's dead. Right, in which case we'll do a bit more, bring the edge back, then we'll go down through the progressions on the other stones. I intend giving this a supremely fine edge. It's going to be on a 20K, and I was less than charmed to find out that the wonderful Sahiru stone at the 20K, the Kukomyu, I think the Kukomyu stone, is in fact on offer, Black Friday deals, whatever, in America only, of course, not in Britain. And I think you can get one for about half what I paid. I paid 295 of His Majesty's finest pounds for my 20K, which is this one. So you're talking about 300 quid. But it's a thick stone. It will last several lifetimes, unless you drop it. So I look at it as a long-term investment. But it peeves me to find that you can get it for about at least a third less. But there you go. If you get stuffed by import duties, buying stones from America or Japan, unless you have a quiet word with the people involved, you're going to pay 25% at least import duty. So, as I say, I'm not crying about the price I paid for my Suhiru, for the simple reason I didn't get stuffed by customs. Right, let's feel this. Now, isn't that strange? No, we're still not there. Nope, that's dead. I'm not going to waste too much of your time, chaps. I'm sure you've got better things to do than watch my nonsense. I'm just trying to show the process I'm going through. Once this edge has been refined to a new apex, this is why I'm only using the 3000. If I wanted to be brutal, I'd have actually gone to a 1K stone, but I've only got a cheap 1K stone, and it's Chinese, does its job, but it's about the same texture as a London house brick. So I think I'd prefer, as this is such an unusual steel, to continue on the 3000 until I've got an edge. Anyway, it won't take that long. Let's test it again. No, completely dead. Right, I'm afraid we're going to be a little bit more brutal. Once you've done a few dozen honings, you get to feel the stone. You also get to feel the blade. And I can tell a little more accurately now what I'm doing on stones and their feel and their feedback. Ah, yeah, that's starting. Once I've achieved a new bevel set, I'll range through all the stones because I like to be boring and pedantic. So I'm going to go 5K after this, 8K, 10K, 12K, progressively less and less and less strokes, of course, until I finally reach the 20K, in which case probably maybe 12 to 15 strokes on the 20K, because by then it'll be a mirror bright edge, and that'll just refine it. And then I'll strop it gently, I'll hang here, test it several times, and then it'll be ready to shave. So this is a very strange steel though. It's no, completely dead. This steel I've not come across and not worked with before. This is a very complicated steel. Now I've been told, and I'm sure he's right, by Jacques Dapper Shaves, that they use a powder metallurgy for one of the steels in this compound strange mixture. I think they use an RWL34 powdered steel, which is why you see all the bright bits. The bright bits are the RWL34. And why use Damascus at all? I suppose because it looks very pretty, but it is harder work. And I'm not convinced by any Damascus. I mean, if you want the luxury look, yes, of course, Damascus. But for practical purposes, stainless, I found a bit of a struggle. The RWL34 is quite good enough for the likes of me on its own. To make it binary is probably a very, very, very specialist form of steel art. And let's feel this now. Nope, it's not there. Nowhere near. This is going to take a while, in which case I didn't think it would take this long. What I might well do now, chaps, is pretend that it's got its bevel set and pretend that I can go from one stone, if I can show them, can I? To another. So anyway, I'll leave you guys in peace. Let me get on with this, and I'll do a shave with it as soon as possible. So chaps, there we are. That's a Wolf Blades Damascus steel, which we're putting a new edge on very soon to shave with. So I'll leave you in peace. Hope this was vaguely amusing, and see you guys soon. Bye for now.